Hello and welcome to the Battling Barrow and a review look at whatever of Call of Cthulhu The Dare. Now this is an adventure for Call of Cthulhu and it is possibly considered the granddaddy of the kids on bikes craze that happened after Stranger Things. Now such as, around that time, around Stranger Things, sort of OSR, retro clones and sort of new adventures appeared, all sort of based around sort of set in the 80s and kids exploring paranormal and supernatural events such as this. This is a good one. Might have to review this at one point. This is Dark Places and Demogorgons, effectively a reskin of Beck Me with sort of modern conveniences such as ascending armor class, but set in the 80s with kids investigating strange goings on. As it says here, 1980s, strange things happened everywhere. Yeah, and what it is, it's sort of these sort of things took inspiration from what inspired Strange Things itself. So things like the Goonies, E.T., Monster Squad, Stand By Me, all that sort of group of kids investigating something. But this was originally conceived in 1990 by Kevin Ross, who used to run it at conventions, so way before then, and really not long after it appeared not long after the actual time in question that it's set in. But we're going to have a look at this anyway. So the first thing is the cover. This is the print version, you get in PDF or print on demand from Drive-Thru RPG, and this, if you look in here, it looks like it's all damaged and peeling. Nope, that is part of the presentation, because this is meant to look like it's bigger, but a VHS cover of some sort of horror film. So you even have sort of the labels, the genre label is more American. We didn't really have that much in the UK, but more of an American thing. And this artwork, which to me is looks like something like not Return of the Living Dead Part 2 and Fright Night of sort of the house, and then the spooky, lovely sky, so sunset moon coming with a spooky ghost appearing on the top. I love those covers, and this, I would have this happily on my wall as a piece of art. And at the front here, the kids in question, all in their Halloween costumes, if you look here, because this is set in, it sounds like quite a typical storyline, kind of reminiscent of films of the 80s such as Night of the Demons and Spookies, albeit with young kids rather than teenagers. But group go to a house, supernatural stuff happens. In here it's set at Halloween, so it's perfect for this time of year. We have the costumes here of someone dressed as a witch, Indiana Jones, Charlie Brown, Luke Skywalker, a Ghostbuster, and Marty from Back to the Future. The back similarly continues the aesthetic of looking like the back of a VHS cover with like the screens and the thing. 50-cent charge if you don't rewind. Be kind, please rewind. And so I love this. And it gives you a bit of blur about the story, just like a VHS. And even here, this is like written like how a film would be written, kind of thing, with all the production directors, editors. Love it. It's so good. It is so good. So yeah, already we're off to a good start of the presentation, given that whole vibe, going for the whole package. Inside it's standard print on paper, so it's inkjet printed. But it's for the 7th edition. And what do we have inside? So here's sort of the things we have. It talks about the revisions to this, some bits and pieces here. Now, if you are playing this, you will obviously need the rules to Call of Cthulhu. So you could either have your big main rule book. That could be useful to have. But to play this, maybe if you want to do a one shot, you really want to read all that. Well, you could, of course, get the starter set, which has inside. I've reviewed this already, so you can look at this, review this on the channel. You have the introductory rules. These are thinner still, but maybe you don't even have time for that. Well, or maybe you don't want to run a whole complex RPG. Well, this book has you covered, because it has Call of Cthulhu, which is rules for playing it with children, and I love that, and we'll cover that a bit in a moment. So yeah, basically the story is that this house was once owned by what the locals refer to, legends now become, a witch. At one time she disappeared, and then since then whoever moves into the house, tragedy befalls them, particularly kids going missing who live here, and kids in the neighbourhood sort of go missing around the house. It's legend, but what's come to light is that it's actually true. This lady here was a witch. Her name of Evelyn Barnacker. I have to get that right because it's such for an English person, or common surname. I don't know if it is in America, but yeah, Evelyn Barnacker was a witch. Now at this point, when I read this, I was thinking, okay, so this isn't actually a sort of Lovecraftian Cthulhu mythos type setting. It's just using the rule set to tell its own horror story. But no, it is. She made a deal with... Oh, before we go on, I should point out this is for Game Masters only. I should have said this at the top. If you're a player and interested in that, stop watching now, because I'm just going to spoil everything, because I'm talking about this from a Game Master point of view anyway. So let's continue. Yeah, so she made a deal with Nyarlathotep for immortality, but every so often she has to do a blood ritual. And that is what's going to be happening this night. She needs kids to feed upon and use the blood to renew her immortality. Now the immortality isn't like she's normal, she is transformed into a hideous, unnameable abomination, and this is what the kids are going to be stumbling into. It's been called the Dare because the whole concept is that they've been dared to go by a sort of bully kid called Roger, who's going to force them in there and what have you, and the adventure starts there. It's not a sandbox where the players have an option not to go. The whole point of this is you're going in the house, so we'll cover that, but let's have a look at what we get. That's the general gist of the story. So when they're inside, strange things are afoot at the Circle K. So we have the table of contents, so you can see how thick it is, 56 pages. So here we have Kevin Ross looking back, sort of the history of it, when he's talking about how it used to run it, and then it's now a thing. This originally came out in 2020. Well, originally conceived in 1990, but this here, what we're looking at today, came out in 2020. And then we have the actual adventure itself. I love bits like this. I don't know if they're collector's bits. That's what I love about the Goodman Games Reincarnated Thieves, just a little bit of blur in here, and we get a bit more later on as well, where it's not all about it. We'll get down to here, there's a bit more stuff like that. Kind of love that, so it's not just the adventure. I love reading stuff. So one thing to take note of, this has a PG and an R option, and I tend to mix up both of them. So you'll get to certain bits in the adventure. I'll skip ahead. I'm trying to find one. Be in the sheds, is what I'm thinking of. So you get to here and you have things where it says R rating here, and then you have a bit of blur what to run if you run it as R, and here you can have PG or R. This particular example here is in the R rating. There's Roger the bully is actually popping insect larva. I wouldn't run that because I hate it in films when there's any sort of cruelty to animals, including insects. I'm weird like that, so I'd go for the PG option there. But other times, if it's like violence against humans, I know it's really weird for me in horror films, and I'm all for it, go for it. Weirdness, protect my animals, that's it. So yeah, so that's what that does, and I love that. That's a great concept as well. Kind of that also for me growing up sort of in the 80s, being into horror films, that reminds me of what we had to go through in the UK with the sort of video nasty era, and the BBFC being really heavily into censorship of films, and a lot of times I didn't get to see uncensored versions until just recent times. We're talking like within the last 10 years. Some of the films I used to watch back then, I've seen them uncensored, and I have to admit I tend to prefer the censored version. They seem to flow better. But someone seen the special effects as well, seeing some special effects back in place that were cut out, it's good. So it has hints about the setting. He's talking about it being set in the 80s and what have you. Not a problem for me. I grew up in that era, so it is my jam. And it talks about running the dare if you're sort of a keeper and things, and then it's controlling the pace, because this is meant to be played after, at a convention, really, as conceived for, so one session. But if you want to make it longer or shorter, it goes through some of that here. Great, love that. Quickly getting up to date as a GM about the history, kind of almost what I've relayed to you, but a bit more detail. It goes into the tragedy of it, and then we're straight away into the house. We're in the neighbourhood. Describes the neighbourhood the house is in, the exterior of the house. So yeah, that's it. Running there basically is just what I said. You're being dead, going to the house, you're going into the house, and then that is it. So we're starting straight off like that, no faffing around. So yeah, then if the players want to explore the outside, we've got that covered here, and then the map of the outside. So what's bits here, and then we go inside. Likewise, there is an inside map. So they're coming in here, so they can enter via the front porch or the back door if they want. So we go through, and each time there's just different things that can happen in the house, and this is where I guess you want it to be a sandbox where there's no, once you're inside, they're free to explore the house and go wherever they want. But bear in mind, in this, Evelyn is ever present. Her presence is everywhere. Roger would have, basically Roger is now undead. He went in the house and was going to burn it down because he's a bit of a fuggy type person, and he got killed by Evelyn, but she's cast a spell to reanimate her as her servant, so he's there to bring her food, the kids. But there are candles everywhere that are made from human fat, and Evelyn can, via the candles, can listen into progress. There are these candles throughout the house, so she can listen in via them, and there are mirrors so she can see what's going on via them. And she also has servants. She has rat things and bat things, and this thing here, a cat called Rattis. So she has all that, and you can use these, up to you when you use them, how much you use them, to scare the players and what have you. So we have the upper floor of exploration. This encounter is great. This sort of reminds me of a film encounter, like it's talking about building it up, and then this big bat monster in the belfry, as it were. Cupola is where it is, so that's cool. And then we have some, obviously there's a corpse, because what is it? There's a corpse in a cupboard, so yeah, we'll get into spooky territory there. And so it's just basically then explains the layout of the house, and it's just literally you're exploring a house until you find the basement, and in the basement we find some entrances down to some tunnels below the area, and we have sort of a picture of Evelyn here. She's inhuman, and then that is what she looks like when they have a confrontation in the tunnels and a fight to their death. Now it also talks about the house gets magically sealed as well, so once the players are in there they can't just walk away, and that again very sort of Night of the Demons-esque, I guess. Night of the Demons when a house seals. There's a film, I can't remember. If you know what it is, let me know in the comments, about where a group go into a house and they can't get out. It's basically sealed in. But anyway, so there's that, and but there is options to escape if they want to take other risks to try and get out, and there is other ways that they can leave. And then we have the battle, and then what we have here at the end, handout here, we'll talk about these later on, is a win, lose and a draw scenario depending on the outcome of the game. And the way it's presented here is cool. It then becomes like a movie. It talks about cameras panning here and credits roll in. Love that. So it's just we're in a movie. Once we've got the adventure done, we have some character and character statistics. So we have one here for Roger, who's going to be basically the GM's NPC, guiding the characters and pushing the narrative along. And then we have some monsters. Obviously the kids, so you're not throwing deep ones and shog-offs at them. So we have rats and bats and swarms of them, and then we have these things here, rat things and bat things. Now this reminds me of the creature in the Dreams of the Witch House by H.P. Lovecraft, particularly Stuart Gordon's Masters of Horror film version of it. So I don't know if that was inspired by that. Big mangy cat thing of Aratis there, and then Evelyn herself, which is cool. Now here's where it gets really interesting, is there is a talking about the rules earlier on. You have this, which is the Call of Cthulhu, which is a real simplified rules, and this is what I probably recommend, especially if you're getting people in. Perhaps you've been playing just one game, and as a GM you want to be playing a different rule set, but your players are unsure. Go with this. I mean, obviously, if you're experienced, Call of Cthulhu, start with the actual proper rules in the books and the starter set. But if everyone's new to it, go for this. So what we have is, first of all, just understanding your character sheet, because this contains some pre-generated characters, so which is good, and that's what I'd recommend using for this as well. But you know, at first you look at this and it can be a bit daunting. It's not really that. It's probably easier than sort of 5e character sheet when it comes down to it, which I find terribly overcomplicated. We have the explanation of the statistics, and plus these extra ones of luck, magic points, and hit points, and sanity. Goes over the skills. Now the skills are slightly different from this to your main game. These are your skills here. If you look, you have something called Be a Pal, Be Bossy, and so these are obviously simplified versions of the main skills. So Be a Pal functions similar to Psychology, Be Bossy, Intimidate and Persuade kind of mixed together, Be Sneaky, Sleight of Hand and Stealth. So some of them are condensed, and what they do is they make sense if you're being like a 12-year-old kid in the 80s. So it goes through what they are. Quick roll explanation on how to use skills. It's a roll under percentile game. So if you have a look at your skill, Be a Pal 80 here. So if I was going to make a Be a Pal roll, I'd roll a percentile dice, or dices. I have to roll under 80. You see these, they haven't been filled in here, but you can see these two squares here. You have half, and I think it's a fifth. I could be wrong. I think it is a fifth. So if I rolled, but these aren't filled in, so I don't know if they're going to be used in this game. But if I rolled 39, that would be a success. If I rolled under 80, it'd be a success. If I rolled under 40, so I got 39, that'd be a hard success. And if I rolled under I can't remember what it is top of my head, hang on. Okay, let's get the introductory rules out from the start set, because what this has in the back, this is great. This has a little table, so I'd recommend finding this online, buying this and getting this. So yeah, 80, 16, so it is a fifth. There you go. I can do maths, but anyway, roll 1 16, that is an extreme success. That means that's amazing. So and Call of Cthulhu is a game where you can succeed but still fail. So let's say I've got a regular success and I'm making an opposed test to do something against someone else, and they get an extreme success. They're gonna win that roll off, as it were. Even though I succeeded, they succeeded better. And that's pretty much how your combat is handled. You make that sort of test using your attack skill. So here we have hand weapon, regular 12 and extremes. That's got the bits here. So if I'm attacking someone, I'd have to roll, and I'm this character, I'd have to roll under 25 to hit them. They could then opt to dodge, so they would have a dodge roll somewhere, and they would make that up here. So let's say I'm attacking, let's say these are having an attack off, so I'm going to hit them with this unarmed. So I'm unarmed, I'm just going to punch. Harriet is going to punch Charles here, so I'd have to roll under 25, and if they want to dodge it, they'd have to roll under 40. If I got 24, that means I've hit them, but then they roll 19, they're going to dodge it, and they're going to dodge it well. And there might be some, you can, as a GM, you can have some consequences, because they got a hard success and I only got a success. Whereas if they got 20 and I rolled a 1, I'm definitely going to hit them because I got an extreme success and they only got a hard success. That is basically the gist of it, and that's all you'd need to know for this game as well. it talks about injury, and there's sanity in the game. Call of Cthulhu's famous for it, and pushing rolls. So this is where if you fail, you can re-roll, but if you fail that time, something bad will happen, kind of thing. So maybe if you were attacking someone and you failed, you could then sort of re-roll, and perhaps you do yourself. And well, it says combat can't re-roll, so that's a bad example. And I knew that was happening. Perhaps I'm trying to break through a door, push a door open, and I fail, but I really want that door to open. Next time I could do it, but perhaps I fail again and I injure myself trying to do it that time. So that's what that is. Sanity, yeah, so you have sanity, and this is a real simplified version of the sanity rules, which is cool, and this is probably great as an introductory to Call of Cthulhu. So you have sanity. If it goes down or you lose too much in one go, you freak out. Again, this is detailed for kids in the 80s. And then you'd need someone to do a peer power roll on you, or do it yourself to try and calm yourself down, or you're going to be running around getting scared. And it goes over a bit about the equipment here as well, it's a little bit here. And if you did want to create your own character, you sort of goes over the bare basics here. I probably wouldn't recommend it from this, but you know, if you really wanted to, and just in case you weren't like me, who born in the 70s and grew up in the 80s, you know, here's a bit of advice if you want to roll that kid and, you know, picking a Halloween costume. Next up is some this is great. This is where we're getting to the bit where I say, you know, as well as the adventure, we can have things like this. This is for, you know, a list of films that are sort of inspired by this adventure, I guess, but from a Call of Cthulhu point of view, kind of thing. So whilst I mentioned things like Spookies and Fright Night, which is actually here, Spookies isn't, I guess Spookies wasn't Call of Cthulhu enough, whereas sort of these sort of things, especially things like where's the Evil Dead, would have the Necronomicon in. So yeah, things like that. That's pretty good. So a good list of films. Some of these actually you haven't seen Tourist Trap, Madman, and I, Madman. Yeah, go on. List of portraits for if you want it for your characters. This is just a bit of fun. I love that. Has anyone ever seen this guy? Just no picture available. And just funny writing rather than giving names. And then we get on to the characters themselves, the pre-gen characters. They come in male and female forms. Just delete as appropriate. And also we have the bookworm, the athlete, the tough, the sidekick, the prankster, the snob, the poor kid, the boy/girl scout, the weirdo, and the know-it-all. And at the back, so I guess more player friendly maps if you really wanted to show them these, and then a handout. So all in all, this is very good, so it comes highly recommended. If you want to see how it plays, I'm hoping to get it on the channel very soon. But is it perfect? No indeed not. There are a few issues with it. Let's start here as I'm here. I would like to have seen a easy to read translation of this. This is a handout that the players can find. Sure, I'd give the players this and so they can struggle with it, but me as a GM, I'd like to know actually what it says. Now, it's made doubly worse, the fact that one, it's in this sort of handwritten font, so that makes it difficult to read, and two, it's in an older form of English where you have these long sort of F's and S's that are S's, and WE, which is just, people would pronounce that as ye, but it's not, it is the, because that's the fawn symbol, which was pronounced TH, but nowadays we just substitute that with the letters TH. And this is basically explaining who Evelyn is and basically her deal with the man in black. No, I left a tab. I would have liked one, a direct translation of this as is, and then another one, a translation of it in modern English. But you know, they could have stuck it on this blank page here, and you have this page here. You know, it could have been done. So there's that. There are a few issues with how it's presented. So if we come down to the kitchen is where it's going to be a few things that just don't get right. So here's the map for the kitchen. Just 2 doors here. We have a door going into this area here and a door with stairs going down. In the kitchen here, it just talks about the pots and pans, the cupboards. There's a telephone that doesn't work, they can get it to work if they're looking for weapons. That's all it talks about, nothing about the doors. But if we come along to here, and it's an optional encounter. So sometimes with me, if it's optional and I know it's going to be the first time I run it, I won't run optional, so I won't even read this. But if we talk here, it talks about Roger turns and walks to the kitchen where, unless interrupted, he opens the once locked door and descends. So that means he's talking about this door here to descend down these stairs, but this door isn't marked in any way, shape or form as being locked. So it's hidden here in this text. That should be indicated here that it's locked, maybe. There is another example of this. It's a bit bad. So we have this here. We have a sewing room and then a sewing closet, and this door is on the outside of the sewing room. It talks here, less notable than the closet, because it talks about where finding the closet door, is a small door on the other side of the room. So if you go here, to me the other side of the room, or if we're talking about this, the other side of the room means this wall here, the other side of the room. And then you're like, you need to notice stuff, spots an entrance, search entrance, it's the staircase going to the cupola. But then what it means is other side of the room is here. That's not the other side of the room, that's outside of the room. And really, this is in the upper hall, this door, so this should go, and it's talking about the upper hall, probably somewhere in this passage here, so that's a bit wrong as well. There's a few things like that. There's a few typos as well. There's nothing too bad unless, again, I'm not an expert in Call of Cthulhu, but it's also, these creatures have average slats with an L rather than stats. I'm assuming it means stats, and that happens elsewhere in this paragraph here as well. That one's not too bad, but yeah, it's still not a perfect presentation. But the absolute worst culprit is this map with this key. This is totally wrong. Right, so first one, TD, trapdoor up. There is no TD on this map, so I'm assuming that means this. And if you look here, this is going to be, so this is the basement, so we have a metal grate, which I'm assuming that leads to that, and a trapdoor, and that leads to that. So that means the tunnels are coming off down here. A small room with earth walls and floor. An earth passage leads off from one corner, from which trickling faint scurrying sounds can be heard. Does that mean this? I'm assuming that means this tunnel here. A small room, but it's not a room, it's a tunnel, whereas this here is more of a room. So I'd say A is here. Small room, earth floor, and a passage leading off from one corner from which trickling and scurrying sounds. So I'd say that's A. Trapdoor from an area beneath the basement steps. What basement steps? The trapdoor is underneath the porch, or there's a metal grate in the workroom. The basement steps are here. So A makes no sense. And B makes no sense. And B's down here. Trapdoor from an area beneath the basement steps. So, the basement steps for here would be over here if you're looking, it's coming off here. So I don't even know what B is about to begin with, unless they mean B, metal grate leading up. Anyway, C, this area is littered with human bones and animal, numerous rats and occasional bats. That's in here, but if you read the text, and I've got to remember what it is, it's in here somewhere. It talks about Evelyn hiding in an alcove. what was about? I think it's in here. This bit here. Yeah, on the western side of the room, which cannot be seen immediately from either entrance room, is an alcove which resides Evelyn. So I'd imagine that there, this big alcove here, is where Evelyn should be. So this area is littered with bones, human, and it talks about the tunnels lead to a fairly irregular room. Yeah, it talks about the walls are packed with dirt and the roof is irregular, and at the centre of the room there's a heap of bones, perhaps 3 or 4 foot high. So this area is littered with bones. C should be in the middle here. D, hello dearies. D, not even on the map, so that's D. E, one corner of the witch's lair, the kids may notice a steady drip of water from a cistern. Attack will flood the room. So E is over here, but if we have ascertained that the tunnels come off from here, which is here, so you know, almost like that. This talks about the cistern. We have to go right back to the first map, the outside map. Okay, which is here. The cistern is over here. Now, this trapdoor here is underneath the porch, which is there, meaning that the metal grate door is here, meaning the cistern is sort of the bottom, just up from the grate. So the cistern has to be really more X than B, because it's going up. It's not dead opposite it. It's not dead opposite. If we look here, be here, it's along and up, along and up. So X, which isn't even on the key, has to be E, one corner of which is lair, and it's not really in a corner either. F, a tunnel sloping upwards. Crawl into it, the kid will come to a trapdoor beneath the front porch. So this is F, but we've already sort of said there also has to be A as well, because this is the only one with a small room. So yeah, this makes no sense. So basically A and F are here. Maybe make this a small room as well. So yeah, that's, once you get your head around that, you either wing it if you've only just noticed that you've got to that stage, or plan ahead with me, be redoing it. But apart from that little gripe there, that's the most egregious one. The others are like typos and just things not presented in the best way, such as the doors. This is awesome, highly recommended. Go and pick up a copy now. I'm not affiliated in any way. Yeah, get a physical copy if you can, because it's just presented beautifully. But that is it for this video. Hopefully you'll see us play this soon, if I have it my way, sooner than what we all think. But that's it for now, guys. Stay safe, take care, bye bye.